Hidden in the lush, mountainous heart of Jamaica lies the story of an indomitable people, the Maroons. Descendants of enslaved Africans who broke free from brutal captivity, the Maroons transformed their harrowing journey into a legacy of resilience, rebellion, and triumph. These African warriors, carried across the Atlantic in chains, defied unimaginable odds to carve out their freedom in the New World, where they became a symbol of unwavering courage. The story of the Maroons began in the 16th and 17th centuries when Spain ruled over Jamaica, and the first African captives were brought to the island. Unlike other enslaved populations, these Africans were determined to resist subjugation. Seizing every opportunity, they fled from the plantations into Jamaica's dense, rugged mountains, where they found refuge. They were known as Cimarrones, or Wild Ones, a term that eventually evolved into Maroons. These freedom fighters not only reclaimed their liberty but also built vibrant communities high in the mountains, safe from colonial authorities. When the British took control of Jamaica in 1655, they were met with fierce resistance. The Maroons, by now a formidable community, refused to be enslaved again. From their mountain strongholds, they waged a relentless guerrilla war against the British, employing tactics learned in Africa and refined in the Jamaican wilderness. With their deep knowledge of the land, they launched surprise attacks, vanishing back into the forests as swiftly as they had appeared. The British, unfamiliar with the terrain and unprepared for such a fierce adversary, struggled to contain them. Among the Maroon leaders, one figure stood out as a true legend: Queen Nanny, a brilliant and fearless warrior. Little is known about her early life, but she is believed to have been brought to Jamaica as a child from the Ashanti Empire, present-day Ghana. With unparalleled courage and tactical genius, Nanny led her people in countless battles, orchestrating daring raids on British plantations and rallying Maroon fighters to defend their freedom. Queen Nanny is said to have possessed supernatural abilities that helped her evade capture and defeat the British in battle. Legend has it that she could catch bullets with her hands, a skill that only added to her mystique. Her tactics were as psychological as they were physical. She often used the terrain to confuse and demoralize the enemy. Under her leadership, the Maroons achieved numerous victories, earning Nanny a revered place in Jamaican history as a national hero. The British became increasingly desperate to subdue the Maroons, leading to what would become known as the First Maroon War, 1728 to 1739. Thousands of British soldiers poured into Jamaica to suppress the uprising, but the Maroons' knowledge of the land, combined with their unmatched resilience, made them a formidable force. The British tried everything: bribery, scorched earth policies, and even forming alliances with other enslaved people to capture Maroon strongholds. Despite overwhelming odds, the Maroons remained unyielding. They survived on whatever they could find in the forests, practiced hit-and-run tactics, and built communities that were nearly impossible to locate or penetrate. The British, bogged down by the costs and resources drained by the conflict, were eventually forced to offer the Maroons a treaty in 1739, formally recognizing their freedom. The treaties marked a pivotal moment in Jamaican history. In exchange for peace, the Maroons were granted autonomy over their lands and the right to live free from British interference. This marked the first time a European power had formally recognized the freedom of former enslaved Africans in the Americas. However, the peace treaty came with a dark price. The Maroons were required to return any runaway slaves who sought refuge in their communities. This stipulation was a painful compromise for the Maroons, who valued freedom deeply. For years, they wrestled with this provision, and many found ways to resist it in quiet defiance. The Maroons remained free, but the price of peace forced them to walk a fine line between survival and the defense of their ideals. In 1795, tensions flared again, and the Maroons clashed with the British in what became known as the Second Maroon War. This time, British forces used deceptive tactics, even luring Maroon leaders under the guise of peace talks only to imprison them. Many Maroons were exiled to Nova Scotia, Canada, where they struggled to adapt to a harsh new environment, and later to Sierra Leone in West Africa. Yet, despite these upheavals, the spirit of the Maroons endured. Those who remained in Jamaica continued to live in their mountain communities, preserving their cultural heritage, language, and traditions. Today, the Maroon communities of Jamaica, such as those in Accompong and Moore Town, stand as a living testament to a people who refuse to be broken. Their stories have become part of Jamaica's national identity, celebrated every year with vibrant ceremonies honoring their ancestors and their enduring legacy. The Maroons are more than just a chapter in Jamaica's past. They are the embodiment of a spirit that fought against unimaginable odds and won. They stand as a reminder that true freedom is worth any struggle, and that resilience can forge a lasting legacy. Today, they continue to honor their traditions, keeping alive the stories of Queen Nanny and the warriors who defied an empire. The Maroons are not just a memory, they are a people, a culture, and a living history that still echoes across the mountains of Jamaica. As the world learns more about their story, the Maroons of Jamaica remain an inspiring example of strength, resistance, and the unbreakable human spirit, a story that transcends borders, one that reminds us all of the power of freedom and the courage it takes to preserve it.